So today we are going to be removing skirting boards while causing as little damage as possible to the wall behind it. It's really not as hard as it seems. It will cause a bit of mess, but you need some pretty basic tools. Number one, a hammer or a mallet. Number two, a Stanley knife or any sort of craft knife. And some sort of chisels, pointy things. They do need to be pretty solid and ideally not sharp, so that we don't want to be going through the plaster, we want to be going down in front of it. So the very first thing we want to be doing is taking our Stanley knife, once we've given our skirting board a bit of a wipe, depends how old yours is, and essentially we want to be running this flat along the wall across the top of the skirting to try and remove any of the caulk or the silicone that is currently holding the skirting board to the wall. That's probably going to be the longest part of the job. It's a little bit fiddly, so just take your time, make sure you're never dragging the blade towards your body or your hands. Keep your fingers nice and clear, because the only thing more boring than removing caulk from skirting boards is sitting in A&E. So you can see I've already removed this one. Now, if you do have a carpet down, you are going to need to remove this first. Luckily, it's the same tools that are required. Because there's always a gap along the floor here, whichever flooring you have, if it's floorboards or carpet, the skirting board will probably be behind it to make sure there's no gaps, stops there being a draft. So this carpet gripper needs to be removed so that we can actually get the skirting board out the front. So, going to get noisy. I would recommend, actually, if you've got a chisel, ours is very blunt, thankfully, but if you can get a kind of sharp end underneath it and just give it a little tap, you can see there's basically a few nails all the way along this that we just need to pop up so that we can get that out. I find if you can get it in at a bit of an angle, it takes a minute to get it going, but if you can get it in at a bit of an angle like this, a sort of 45-degree angle, so that just one corner of the chisel is underneath it, so that you're kind of in front of the nails, you can get quite a good swooping motion on it, where you don't need to stop at every single nail, because it's much easier to remove this if it's in as few pieces as possible, mainly because it's pointy on both sides. Picking it up is not fun. So like this, you can pull this out the way if you need to, and go in 45 degrees. All the way along like this. And I'll snap this bit off just to show you. I said it's got pins sticking up the way because that's what the carpet grips to, and then screws going down. We do not want to be grabbing this tightly or standing on it, so make sure you put it away somewhere safe. So I will quickly do the rest of this and probably speed this up so you don't have to watch me for too long. Back to my least favorite part. So give it a little bit of a clean first. And we are just taking our Stanley knife here, or craft knife, and basically lightly scoring between the wall and the top of the skirting board. So I'd say start light and get a bit firmer. You can start to see this line forming. Here we go. There's a nice chunky bit of caulk coming off. Continue doing that the whole of the way along. I'd say tackle one wall at a time or one section at a time if your wall has kind of nooks and crannies. Now, I've got as far as I can up to here. It could be that you have a radiator in the way. If that is the case, it's nice and easy to remove these off the wall if this is the kind that you have. Just make sure that it's off. We don't want it to be hot or full of hot water. It should just be a case of gently lifting it up, laying it on the floor here. So make sure that these aren't pulled too tightly. If they are, basically just get something that raises it up off the ground. And then when it comes to putting it back on, it's the same thing really. We just need these to hook back onto this bit. So now we have a much easier seam to see. We can actually get in behind the skirting board. What I would say is, again, start in your corner and try and get your scraper in and just gently tap. You can see this is far too thin to be pulling it back. So we're not going to be doing it with this one. That's just to get us the initial wiggle room. And then going in with my medium friend, again, with the kind of pointy part not at the wall, and using some of the leverage we've got from that, just gently tapping. You can see we're getting a bit more wiggle room there. And once more, I'll leave that one in so that it doesn't kind of stick itself back to the wall. Sometimes the way that the wood is bending out is going to want to just shoot itself back in again, and the nails are still there, so it will happen. So leaving those in initially. You can see we've got some quite good wiggle room there. And bit by bit, I'll leave that one in. As you can see, it's shot straight back up against the wall because that is what it's going to want to do. I will then just move on. Right, I'm right on top of a nail there, so I can feel that's not going to go any further, which is not what we want. So I'll go ever so slightly this way. And begin to pull that forward. Oh, that's a good bit of cork. Oh yeah, look at that stuff. So basically, do that all the way along. You will see, I'll move you over this way, that there are some big nails in here. And if we do this all the way along, we're going to get it out no problem. So we'll just keep going with this bit. Like I said, it stops halfway along the radiator. So actually, this one does not go the full length, and therefore should be. You just want to do little wiggles because you don't want anything to be pushing into the wall. As you can see, we've actually not managed, well, somehow, to not damage the wall really, which is exactly what we want because we're going to be painting this, and you know, we want to do the least amount of extra prep work required. You can also see just how much of this stuff was on here. Wow, it's such a good bit. So we're going to need to take the radiator off again to get this bit in. That would be very annoying. Or, hey, we can just pull it off there. So again, be very careful. If you're using the skirting again, obviously maybe label it if you want to, because that would be very helpful for you remembering which one is going in where. We will come back to that later. But for now, we'll continue with the rest of the room until we've got everything off. And that should be everything you need. All the skirting boards are off now, and you can prep your wall for paint, pull up the floor, lay the new floor, whatever it is you need to do. Thanks for watching.